Good afternoon, Tottenham fans, and happy Saturday to you all, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur for Match Day Live, as today we're going to be talking about what happened Wednesday night and also building up to today's friendly against QPR. And as you can see, we've got a great panel with us. We do have returning Dermo from last week. How are you keeping, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for having me back again, Dave. It's always a pleasure and an honour to come on these pre-match bump-ups, so thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to be back.
It's absolutely great to have you. You do bring the vibes. You get carried away, which, look, some people love, and I don't mind, before games, Matty used to have to try and control me sometimes as well. But speaking of Matty, we have the returning Matty Hayes from Matty Hayes Tottenham blog. How are you keeping, my man?
I'm good. I'm delighted to be back on here. As I was saying to you guys, my computer connection went just before we went live, so I'm on the less professional setup. I don't have my green screen set up like you two pros, but I'm looking forward to talking about what's an exciting preseason for Spurs with some young players and some new signings looking really impressive so far.
Yeah, really, really impressive. And there seems to be a lot of reaction, since that game. Are the youngsters good enough? Are they not? Do we still need more signings? So we've got plenty to talk about for sure. And we will be joined from Jim, from Kate, just the girl who loves Spurs, her channel. He will be coming on here. I think his computer's frozen. Must be something with the outage that happened yesterday. People are getting a knock-on effect today, I would say. Let's just welcome a few people in, and then let's get cracking on. We've got Georgie Hill. Big up, lads. Hope you're keeping well. Looking forward to seeing the kids today. Hope Lankshear gets some more minutes, especially. Look, I really do hope so. I watched a lot of them last year. Ali Gold did say in one of his articles this week that apparently he's the best striker in form in training at this moment in time. So let's wait and see what happens. We also have Abdu Mohammed. Come on, you Spurs. Good to see you, Abdu. We have Shawnee Johnston. Feels like a day for a big Spurs win again. Can't wait to see the youngsters have another goal. Let's just hope we add some proven quality like Victor Gyökeres. We'll keep that one there. We'll get Matty's thoughts on him. We've got Alexander Valeris says, let's go Tottenham. Good to see you, Alexander. Callum Brett says, was refreshing to see young kids play really good football. Hopefully some of them get a chance this season. And something we're going to be talking about in this show, Callum, is I feel the youngsters have a better grasp of the Postecoglou football and executed better than maybe the first team. I think the first team still looks a bit disjointed. I'm trying to work out, is that because of the core of that second half team did play this way together last season, but you could make the same argument for the first team. I have a theory that it's down to players that are more impressionable, that maybe don't have as much in their head from other managers, so they take on the tactics easy rather than giving it to a first-team guy who maybe sometimes will go, well, I remember a manager said this to me, and that really helped elevate my game and take me to the next level. So maybe a bit hesitant to do everything Andrews, but that's something we'll get into. Callum, make sure you let me know your thoughts on that. Good to see Paul Connor. Big up, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Be good to see you again. But today we want to see progression and much more fitness for the so-called first teamers. Absolutely spot on. And we also have Nick Lazier. Good to see you, Will the Pigeon. Fly the Coop. Can't help myself. Look, let's wait and see what happens with Big Rich. Nick. We also have Moondog. Good to see you. Hopefully you and Charlie are keeping well. The 5 said, let's go. Great to see you. DJ Samuel says, Tottenham are back. Colin Cross says, afternoon, my Celtic cousins from a wet Wales. Good to see you. And then we also have Shem Tam says, good afternoon, Dave, the great Marty and Mr. Dermo, hope you're both well. Great Matty, sorry, I don't know why he said Marty. Maybe it's the way I pronounce it. Just think we are the 7th richest club in the world and our summer transfers are on par with Crisis Club Everton. Just saying. No, look, 100%. I think, not like, the thing is, there seems to be a around the fan base that you're not allowed to admit that we've got some good quality youngsters while also agreeing that we need some more transfers to be able to improve the first 11. Seems to be you can't have that opinion, but that's where I'm at with it, Shem. Got some good youngsters, but of course, we need signings to influence the first 11. And then Matic says, big up, return of the Jedi incoming. Return of the Jedi, maybe it coincides with the return of Matty Hayes, Ilmatic. Let's wait and see. Jimbo, good evening, or good afternoon, Shirley. Shall I say, are we better now?
Yeah, sorry about that, Dave. When you went off for the music, everything froze. Bit like my brain half the time.
I was saying it's probably to do with the outage. They're going to come after us YouTubers next. Just quickly before we get into it, though, guys, Matty, Victor Gyökeres, how strong are these links? What's the possibility of Spurs actually getting him? And, is he a player that would fit into this Tottenham system?
I think he's definitely a player that would fit into our system. He's a quick, versatile forward who mainly plays down the middle and scores a lot of goals. I'm just not sure if he's a profile that we we need for our team right now, because I think that nature of versatile forward, we have Son, we have Richarlison, we have even Brennan Johnson played down the middle a little bit in pre-season, and he's got 4 goals in essentially 90 minutes of football. Kulusevski, of course, versatile as well, now maybe playing as a second number 10 in there with James Maddison. So while Gyökeres is definitely an incredible player and one that would fit into our squad, I just think right now we need to look more for a natural number 9. And we went that year in the transition without getting a replacement for Kane, which I think was the right way to go. But now that we kind of have our style of play set, and we know the mainstays in that team, I think a number 9 is the way we're going to go next. More kind of an Ivan Toney type of player. But now if there are departures, who knows what's going to happen. I know there's been more murmurs in the last couple of days about Richarlison and Saudi coming back into contention. He said he doesn't want to do that. He wants to stay in England, but anything can change throughout the window. But I think for now, we'll be very surprised if Gyökeres is one that we're actively looking at.
Interesting. He's a player I actually like. I like Gyökeres. You know, he's done well at Coventry. He's done well out in Portugal. I think he's waiting for that next move. But I do agree with you. Someone like Ivan Toney is exactly what we need for this system, who can, you know, hold up the ball with his back to play, bring others into play, spray passes about, take set pieces, a threat from set pieces. And for me, he ticks all the boxes. Big up Shawnee Johnston. Thank you for bringing that up. But guys, let's crack on. Our Adrian Chi is in here first. He said, big up lads. No more printing of names on the kit for me. Why, after Basumani's performances last season, do you know what? I think it's hard not to go and get a Bergvall or an Archie Gray on the back of the jersey at this moment in time, though, isn't it, Adrian? I don't want to be tempting you, but if you did want to go for maybe something a little bit different this year, maybe one of them kids is the way to go. And as always, great to see Mr. Shire as well. Good to see you, my man. And Danny Darko as well. Also great to see you. I think he's from County Wicklow. But guys, let's get straight into it. And again, Matty, we'll start with you and work our way back around the panel. Now, after the Hearts game, there was a lot of sort of reaction across social. Some people saying, why are Spurs fans getting so carried away? It's only preseason. It's only Hearts. There's still a number of issues there from the first 11, and that the kids are only going to take us so far. And then there's another half that are saying, give us the league title now. It's already in the bag after what we witnessed. I mean, Matty, for me, it was only Hearts at the end of the day. But were there any key takeaways that we can take from that game moving forward?
There definitely are, and I completely understand the apprehension of getting too excited about pre-season, because like I said, it is only pre-season. It is a Scottish Premiership side. They finished third in the Scottish Premiership, but the quality of that league is definitely nowhere near the Premier League. But I think what we need to learn to distinguish between is the quality of the play and the way the tactics and what we were actually doing. And it's one thing I was very vocal about, that last season we really struggled in breaking teams down when we got into the final third. We were very static. James Maddison, when he was at his best, was really good in opening things up. But when he was injured and then when he struggled in the latter half of the season, we just didn't have that creativity and just that player who can unlock the defence in one pass. And Son as a number 9, not enough of a target, that when we had the ball out wide, we couldn't really put it into the box, and he was often getting dragged out of position as well. So there were a lot of issues in that specific area of our play last season. But you can see Ange said it in one of those documentaries on Spurs play, that he wanted to show the players that they weren't standing still over the summer. And I think the nature of how we tried to build up through the middle of the pitch was definitely chalk and cheese to what we saw last season, with the 2 number 10s, with Maddison and Kulusevski in there. Son was dropping deep, and the way we were playing through the lines was really important, because it's easy to congest the space in there when if you're looking down the right side of the team, you've Kulusevski in as a number 10, you've Brennan Johnson out on the right, you've Jed Spence or whoever's right back starting to invert. There's a lot of, it's very clustered in there. But the way Son was dropping deep and able to play the ball through the lines to these players with their back to goal, and then someone spinning off them and a little just bounce the ball back, you're through the line, you're facing goal. And it's something really simple, but it's something that wasn't there last season, and that helped us a lot in that first half, open up Hearts. So I completely agree that we can't get carried away with the quality for the most part, but just the tactics and those little tweaks that we're seeing from the way we were playing last season is really important. But what I would take the positives from, Archie Gray on his debut for Tottenham, playing out of position in centre-back, was absolutely immense. He won every physical duel he went into. His defensive positioning was absolutely sensational, and he said himself he had Pedro Porro was helping him out a lot in that first half, just giving him a few pointers on what to do. But the fact that at just 18 years of age he was able to take that on board in that first game was really impressive. And there's one moment in particular, it was the first time Hearts broke up the pitch, and I think it was 2v2, and their striker ran a little bit early, and he was 2 or 3 yards offside. And Archie Gray turns and he sees him and he's about to make that move to go track him, which I think is instinctively the really easy thing to do. But in that moment, you can see Gray, the logic coming into his head where he's offside, let's leave him. And I know it sounds like a simple thing, but an 18-year-old in centre-back, first game for a big club like Tottenham, it's so easy to just do the safe thing and track that run. There was just little things like that really, really impressed me. And of course, the young players in the second half, it is of course worth mentioning that Hearts also rotated in the second half, so it wasn't our youngsters against their full team. But Tyrese Hall, phenomenal. Lucas Bergvall, as we knew, would be absolutely incredible. Mikey Moore, Will Lankshear, and the return of the Jedi, as you've been saying. It was a lot of positives to take from that game, and I'm, of course, not getting too carried away, but I think to look at it as just pre-season isn't the right way to do it, because we've 7 pre-season games this year, the most we've ever had. I think that shows just how much Postecoglou actually values it.
No, 100%. For me, I think there's definitely takeaways you can take from it without getting too carried away, for sure. I think I agree with you on Archie Gray, by the way. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. For me, don't know what you think about this, Matty, but he reminds me a little bit of Roy Keane in terms of the way he goes in for the ball. He always comes out with it. At times last year, I've seen Tottenham players go in for the ball, bar maybe Romero, and the ball maybe ricochet, or the opposing team sort of come out with it. Maybe we were a bit soft in the tackle, but Archie Gray always comes out with it. I thought positionally he was absolutely fantastic. And the fact that he's played centre-back, right-back, and he's been predominantly a centre midfielder his whole career shows the IQ and the football brain and the intelligence that this kid has. And maybe you can make the same argument for Donnelly at the minute, playing over at left-back as well, even though he's been a striker and a creative midfielder in our academies. But, you know, there was big questions for me heading into this about the youngsters. Those who didn't watch maybe any of the under-21s maybe had questions about, are they technically good enough to be able to play at this level? And I think one thing we've seen, okay, Hearts made changes, but they are technically ready to play at this level. I think the next question we need to ask about these guys, can they adapt to the physicality, the pace, and the power of the Premier League? And that's a different question altogether. Some might not, some might, you know, but let's wait and see. But I think it definitely answered the questions. Are they technically good enough in terms of the youngsters? But Jim, a few things I would say that maybe we can also take away that are maybe a little bit negative or be seen as negative, but I think it's something that we need to work on, especially with Basuma in that number 6. I think we're still vulnerable at the back. The first 11 still look disjointed and lacked maybe a little bit of creativity at times, although we did miss some big chances in the first half. What was your takeaways from that Hearts game, Jibbo?
I think that that's why we got pre-season, Dave, for him to sort all this out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Ange will sort it out. I was impressed with it. I thought they did well. It's the first game back. You got to remember that they've all been on holiday, or not in the Euros, because none of them are back from that yet. So it was the first game back. So I was quite pleased with it. First half, not so much. It was all right the first half, but the second half, when he brought the youngsters on, I was buzzing. I want to see the youngsters in the team, Dave. I want to see it. But we've been screaming for it. And and they're in there now, so let's kick on with them. I thought the second half was phenomenal.
100%, and I think there's so many good things to take from that second half. It's one thing going into a preseason friendly, maybe, and the game was 50-50, and the youngsters just edged it. They didn't. They absolutely dominated the gym from start to finish.
I thought Jed Spence was man of the match for me. I thought he was phenomenal. It was just like a completely different player. But see, I've seen people say he's another Dembele and he's got a bad attitude. But he's a young guy. Maybe Ange just put his arm around him, sat him down, had a chat with him, and said to him, you're a good player. You need to sort yourself out. He's giving him another chance. Because to me, it was just like watching a completely different player. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
Well, yeah, he had an absolute great game, and we're going to get into Jed Spence, because for me, I think he's been given a bit of a raw deal, and I know there's been a lot maybe in the media about his attitude problems, and that also happened at Leeds United. But I do feel like if I'm Jed Spence at his age, when I was used as a pawn between Conte and Tottenham and my dream was taken away from me no matter what I'd done, I think I would also probably become a bit frustrated, maybe lose my head a little in that as well. And I think you have to weigh and factor that up into the situation when we talk about Jed Spence. And some people put out a video this morning. Lots of people are saying, Dave, he hasn't even got a chance. What are you talking about? Second chance? Let's give him a real chance first. So let's wait and see what happens on that. But Dermo, coming to you as well. I mean, look, Man United lost to Rosenborg the other day. Everton lost 3-1 to Sligo Rovers. So are Spurs fans right to enjoy a 5-1 win, even though it's hard?
Look, a win's a win. A win always breeds confidence, and that's what it is. Pre-season is, at the end of the day, it's about getting match fit. It's about putting in good performance and getting confidence in the team, in the system, in the way we want to play. And look, it was Hearts. Let's put it that way. And they put out, and Matty and Jim both said they put out second string sides in the second half. But for me, Archie Gray was immense. I was so impressed with him. Jed Spence, like Jim, I had him as my man of the match the second half. Archie Gray was man of the match the first half. The kids did well. I thought Madison played well. Johnson, I thought, took his goal well. So look, I'm optimistic. I'm happy. 5-1 is a great result. Good win. Let's continue it today. But I'm not getting that carried away. It is only pre-season. Pre-season's there for getting fit, getting match fit, getting ready your tactics for the season, getting used to a system that the manager wants you to play. And as Matty rightly said, we're playing the most pre-season games we've played in a long time. We didn't play enough last season. And this year, I think we're playing about the right number for me. But yeah, let's go and let's do another win today.
Of course, last season's pre-season tour cut short because of monsoon season in Singapore. I mean, such badly organised. But Dermot, I feel it hard to believe that you didn't get carried away. You know, I have visions of you having to get put down with a tranquilizer and go sleep for a little while. You know, you love it. You love a big win, Dermot, so you do. I bet you definitely got carried away.
Look, I got excited with the kids. More Lankshear, you know, and second half, unlike Jim, I was buzzing. But you can't take that for one game. You have to see it at the consistent level. And these kids are ready. These kids are ready to go at the top level. And if they do play well, we have our version of the class of 92. I really do believe that we have our own version of what Man United had in 92. And we have the class of 24. And I think Tottenham are in such a good place at the moment. We just need to add a few bits of experience around this team, and I'll tell you, you watch us go. We'll be a match for anyone this season.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, Dermot. If we added, you know, them bits and pieces, I think it would probably calm, you know, a lot of the Spurs fans down heading into the season. So let's wait and see what happens. Ideally, I think many wanted it in before the preseason tour. It looks like now it'll happen. They'll probably link up with the squad when they get back from the preseason tour, which probably isn't ideal. But look, let's wait and see what happens. I'm not going to get into the minefield of transfers today because we'll be here for the next 24 hours. But big up, Moondog. Good to see you. Quad is on until it's not. Come on, you Spurs. Really appreciate that, Moondog, the support. And look, you know me, I always say I'm in for every trophy until it's mathematically not possible or achievable. And then I'll readjust as we go along to the next highest thing that we can achieve and adjust as we go along, pivot, you know. I don't like writing off the possibility of not being able to challenge before we go into a season. Because for me, a part of being a fan is hoping, believing, dreaming, you know, and having blind faith at times, I suppose, Moondog. So really appreciate that. And you're getting me going. And I say the rest of the panel as well, Moondog. And Davey Shire all the way from Australia says, #Jimbo for England manager. Do you know what? At least he'd let them off the rain a little bit, I suppose. Jimbo, do you have the capabilities?
The thing is with football, Dave, right? It's our passion. We're on here with you today because we love Tottenham. You know, after my family, the next thing in my life is Tottenham. Everything Tottenham. I've got tattoos on me, Tottenham. It's about getting excited. It's about enjoying it. That second half, I was buzzing off the walls. You know,
yes,
it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to watch, and I do get excited, and I do maybe go over the top a bit. I want to see these youngsters in the first team. I want to see them in the first team. You know, they're good enough. You know, but people saying, "Oh, they're this, that, and the other about them." No, they showed the other day. It was only Hearts, but they can play football. You know, it's up to Postecoglou to integrate them. You know, at the right times with some of the older heads. Look at the old Man United in the 90s. You know, they had a few old heads in there and they had all them youngsters and they just kicked ass.
Yeah.
So why can't we do it? Integrate them properly. Postecoglou has been around the block a few times. I think he knows what he's doing.
100%, Jim. And this is something that I've been saying, lad, is that for me, you know, I'm not asking for these to come in and go straight into the 11. I'm not even asking them to fill out the subs bench, but put them on the periphery of the squad, two or three of them, and you know that they can chase other people down. And if they perform well, then they slowly progress through the first team squad. And I think that's where we've gone wrong in years gone by. I think too many times we've resorted to putting players out there who are on big money, you know, internationals, and have let us down against more Pacos de Ferreira, you know, and crap teams across the UK as well. It's absolutely embarrassing. And if you want to change that sort of tide, some point you have to go, right, screw it, do what Pochettino done. Okay, Adebayor. Oh, you don't want to do that? No problem. Off you go. See you later. I'll bring in Harry Kane. No problem. You know, and for me, I think we need to maybe adopt that attitude. Or actually, maybe now we don't because we're starting to slowly get the squad sorted. But maybe we need to adopt that attitude maybe a bit sooner. But we're going to get on to the youngsters now because I want to know, are we overhyping the youngsters? Are we getting too carried away? But just quickly, Moondog says, I got some designs for when we win the FA Cup. And by the way, everybody, this guy here does the best one-off pieces I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't matter what you want, whether it's a clock, it does not matter. This guy will make it for you. So if you have anything in your mind that you want done Spurs related, simply hit up the one and only Moondog. I can't wait to see what FA Cup designs you have. Send them on to me, Moondog. But Matty, back down to you, lad. Are Spurs fans getting carried away overhyping these youngsters since it is only a friendly against Hearts?
Yes and no. And for the yes part, I'm definitely guilty of it as well. I mean, was it Steve Perryman put out a tweet or a statement the other day talking about how, as a young player, the hype is one of the worst things that can happen because you start to believe it yourself. And I think that is understandable. And someone with his experience in coming up as a young player at Spurs and having to deal with that, and then imagining how much more intense that is in the age of social media. And we know all the players are on social media and seeing this sort of stuff. Maybe we do need to temper it a little bit, not even our own personal expectations of it, but in how we're vocalizing that, and I suppose the pressure that we're putting on the players. But in another sense, it's also a good thing because you look at the cup games that the under-21s have played recently, gone on to win the cup again and win the league, the playoffs. The support that they had at those games, the amount of Tottenham fans that were turning up for academy games was absolutely huge. And I think we associate that a little bit more with the clubs around Europe who are known for having such an impressive youth academy, like Barcelona, like Ajax. They have that support and they have that same passion for the academy that they have for the first team. And I think that's something that is really growing within the Tottenham fan base. And I do think that is important. But on the flip side, they're really, really good footballers. And they are going to be a faction of them, the future of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And if we're not going to get excited about that, what's the point in supporting this team? You know, I always say it, I understand pessimism, I understand negativity, but when everything is a bombardment of, well, those players aren't going to get into the team because Levy's going to sell them anyway, or they're never going to be good enough because Tottenham don't give chance to use players, whatever. To some extent, those are true, but I don't see the point in not believing and not having that positivity and that anticipation going into it. And I would also say that the focus that Tottenham are putting on the academy right now is more than any team in England. And that could be absolutely crucial because when you're where Tottenham are and you want to get to where Man City are, there's something you have to do in the middle to bridge that gap, which is a little bit different to everyone else. You have to do something different to be able to make that up. And maybe this is the direction that Tottenham think will bring us that way. And you even look at the money that's being invested into the academy. We brought Will Lankshear when he was the best player at Sheffield United. We brought Jude Soon-Sop-Bell when he was highly regarded at Chelsea. We're after getting George Feeney from, is it Glentoran? We got Josh Keeley from another. Like we're actively investing in these players in the youth academy. And I know there's been a little bit of unrest from players that have come up through the system from 7, 8, 9 years of age, and they feel as though the work they've put in is just being replaced by someone who did it elsewhere and came in just for a little bit of money. So maybe it's not the perfect strategy, but with the players we're bringing in, with the coaches that we're bringing in, some of the people working in that academy setup in the scouting department that we have such a wide array of experience working with young players and progressing them into first teams that it just seems everything we're doing there right now is right. And we're already starting to see that with the quality of the players that are coming through. So if we're not allowed to be optimistic about that, I don't see the point.
And look, for me, I just
Yeah.
think it's generally the way the club is going. Even in terms of the first team, Mickey Van der Ven, Destiny Adoji, Papa Matasar, players like that. They're not exactly the oldest, but since Paratici's arrived, he's clearly gone after the young, hottest talent around Europe. And despite many people questioning, the signings every time they walk in the door, it's clear to see they're an improvement on the players that they've come in to replace. And it's just about whether fans can get behind and trust it. Now, look, I don't blame fans for getting pissed off, frustrated, and having no patience because of the lack of trophies. We're always the nearly men. We're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. We just want to get over the line at some point and win that title. But for me, I look at this, I've looked at this squad for the last 2 years, a lot of these youngsters, and I haven't seen talent and the depth of talent come true like we have available to us right now, combined with some of the best talent we're bringing in from around Europe. It almost reminds me of when we brought in Luka Modric that time, some of the best talent around Europe, and look what they went on to do for the football club. And for me, I find it really exciting. I find it refreshing. Before, we've had an old squad that was aging, and let's be brutally honest, couldn't get around the pitch. I mean, it's bad when my mum's phoning me after games who doesn't watch football and saying, Dave, they're not even trying a leg out there. She shouldn't even know, what trying a leg is in football because she doesn't watch football. But even she knew by looking at it. And for me, I'm glad to see that it's getting rejuvenated. And I think there are areas that we still need to address in the first team squad, 100%. But I think it's okay to say, look, we've got great talent there. How do we nurture this? So that we can get our homegrown side of the squad quota, which is a part that's held us back for years now, addressed. Get it to the best that we can get it with four best players to come through that are club trained, so that we don't have to worry about that side for quite some time and really build a squad. Because in order to build a squad, the way we've done it, we've just tried to rely on the 17 homegrown quota or foreign places that you're allocated and try and build a squad to compete using that 17 and not touch the homegrown or really addressed it. For me, you have to add to that to be able to compete the squad. And these youngsters are the way forward in terms of doing that. So we're not shelling out 50 millions on the likes of Brennan Johnson and people like that, So for me, I think it's okay to say we've got some great quality coming through, but we also need signings for the first team. We're not naive to know that. But also, these guys can fill in gaps, bring something fresh, bring something new. At Spurs, especially for the last couple of seasons, there's been a huge reluctance to really give youngsters an opportunity. I get it, because we're so hungry and desperate for 3 points every single game, which I get. But look at Lewis Miley at Newcastle, Mainu at Man United. Look at some of the youngsters that Arsenal have brought through, and I hate saying that. You go right through the Premier League, it's done. Barcelona, Real Madrid do it all the time where they bring youngsters through and play them if they're good enough. But it's only at Tottenham we don't. I'm glad to see that we're maybe getting on this. And not only, even if they don't make it, Man City, people go, how are they able to spend so much? Okay, maybe they've broken rules in the past, but lately, it's because they're selling off academy products 15, 20, 25 million at a time, and they're topping up their transfer budget. I think they've made 150 million in sales of their academy over the last few seasons, the likes of Bazunu and players like that. So, it helps top up the transfer kitty. So for me, I'm okay with it. I don't think we should be putting it down. I think we should be embracing it, lifting it up, and actually urging the club to get these guys through. And the ones that are good enough will stay, and the ones that aren't, well, we'll replace them. And that's the way it should be for me. I mean, Jim, what's your thoughts on that, lad?
Yeah, 100%, Dave. 100%. We've been for the last few years. I don't know how many years, but we've been seeing the same old thing. It's just a circle. That's all we've been going in, is a circle. And we had players like Dyer. We had got Højbjerg still there. Skip, he's another one that shouldn't really be there now. The players we needed to get out, and next season we see them in again. This is what we need now, is a proper clear out, and these youngsters come through. But what they've got to find the balance, because you need old heads in there like Sonny, people like that. So I'm sure he's going to bring he's already said, I watched an interview of him the other day, that there's at least 2 more coming in. So he's got to get the right balance. But the thing is, Dave, is we've got to be patient with it, not like get upset all the time if we lose a game and like start screaming, oh, Levy this and the manager this, and you see what I'm saying? We've got to be patient and just enjoy it and enjoy the ride. Dave, there's someone at my door. I'll be back 1 second.
Yeah, no hassle, Jimbo. Dermot, do you want to take over there? I mean, continue your thoughts on maybe some of the youngsters that we've seen.
I think it's great to see, because over the years we've never really had the best academy, and it's only been one or two players that have come through. Harry Kane's probably the last one to come through the academy to make it as a world-class player. But it's great to see we've got 4, 5, 6, 7 players coming through. A few that we've brought in, but we've nurtured them. And we have to be patient. It's okay getting excited. It's okay getting happy. And that's what it's all about. But we've got to be patient. And we can, if we want to succeed, I think Ange is the perfect manager for this. We've seen what he's done up at Celtic, Dave. You know what he's done elsewhere. You want this to happen. Ange is your man. And the likes of Jed Spence coming through and Mikey Moore, and seeing Jed Spence playing again and Mikey Moore, Lankshear, and all the kids. And then some of the players that weren't playing well under previous managers now coming back and wanting to play for Ange. This is what it's all about. They want to play for the manager. They've got the pride to back playing for the club again. For the badge, it means something. And this is what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's about the pride playing for that cockerel on your chest. It's not about Eric Dyer playing for yourself or players like that. I mean, Højbjerg, for me, just Jim mentioned him, but I think Højbjerg would be great to keep round because of his experience and because of his professionalism. Okay, he's not going to play every game, and he may go. But if you want a player that's going to turn up on time and set an example for these younger players, this is how you act if you're not playing. This is what you do. You still train hard. You still turn up. And I think we're going to need players like that to show the youngsters this is what you do. Like they had at Man United back in '92. They had the older players there to show them this is how you train. This is how you behave when you're out and about, because you're representing the club, and these youngsters have that. So look, I'm very excited, but if I'm not gonna go and shout from the rooftops, I want the manager out, I want this out, if they don't win, because there's no point. Because these are youngsters, and Tottenham have a tradition of bringing through youngsters players. We did it back in the 80s, we did it back in the 70s, we did it back in the 60s, we did it back in the 50s, whatever. We just lost our way a bit, but now we're back to what we are as a club. And I think it's very exciting. And look, I can't wait for the season to start, because some of these lads are going to be another Harry Kane, if you know what I mean, another sensations.
Look, that's the thing. I mean, who doesn't want another Ledley King, another Harry Kane somewhere within the ranks? You know, for me, I just think it makes sense. You have to have homegrown trained players that meet the quote. And in years ago, like we've got Ollie Skip, right? Ollie Skip's not good enough to be here, especially to play the Ange Postecoglou system. He's so far off it. But he's being kept around as box-ticking exercises rather than saying, look, Ollie, it's not working out. Go and further your career. And I feel sorry to a degree for players like that. And in order for us to stop mistreating players like that, like Alfie Whiteman, no reason for him to be around here. The first thing he done the other day, he had a chance to play a nice ball out, kicks it straight out for a throw-in. Again, kept around for another box-ticking exercise. It's embarrassing. And we need to stop doing this to players. And, bringing through some of these youngsters will hopefully help push us on in that regard. I really enjoyed that conversation about the youngsters. Anyone else, anything they want to add from that before we move on? Nope. All good. All good. Dark Sun G says, come on, you Spurs. This preseason is great because we get to see youths. And look, Dark Sun G, I'm super excited. I spent a lot of time doing watch-alongs the last couple of seasons for the under-21s and youth games, and I've really enjoyed it. I think they've really changed the game in terms of youth football. Before, it was very slow, lethargic, not really competitive at all, to be brutally honest. But with the way, the club have implemented Ange Postecoglou's system into that under-21 side, and they're playing that style of football, you could see last season, no team can get to grips with it. It's really changing their way. They're changing the game at academy level, and I'm delighted to see that they could bring that up And although it's against Hearts, at least they've shown if all else fails, they're good enough to play in the Scottish Premiership, you know, as the lowest level. So for me, I'm delighted to see them. And not only that, some of the ones we signed, Bergvall, Gray. I know Lucas Voskovic tweeted he can't wait to link up with Bergvall, you know, next season, which is going to be very, very interesting. Big up, Daxon G. Really appreciate the support, brother, and hopefully you're keeping well. And you still never answered my question. Are you going to get to watch Tottenham when they're in Korea this time? I know last time you didn't answer my question, Dark Sun G. Let me know in the chat, sir. Just a girl, you love Spurs. Really appreciate support. Kate says, big up, Dave. Nice to see the handsome Jimbo on the panel. Spurs fans can overhype, keep their expectations feasible. Don't need extra pressure. First of all, I thought you were going to call me handsome in my new jumper, by the way. Who doesn't like this bad boy? Look at this baby. Look how sexy that is. It's so nice, isn't it? Okay, I thought you were calling me handsome, but we'll give it a pass. It's obviously calling Jimbo handsome, but Jimbo, I mean, do you agree with Kate here?
Yeah, I am handsome, yeah.
No, but the rest of
it. What about the Spurs fans can overhype? Yeah, look, I'm the wrong person to ask, Dave, because you know what I'm like. I get so excited. I mean, I'm just absolutely buzzing to see these youngsters come in, and if we lose a few games of them in there, but they're improving and they're taking us forward, I'm good with that. You know, I'm not one of these ones that sits back and cries my eyes out if we lose a game. You know that. Yeah, I want to see the youngsters in there. We want to build, you know, a proper squad at this club, you know, all the way through. So when we look at the bench, we think there's 5 players that can come on there and change the game. And we're not going to do that the way we're doing it. You know, I know what Derm said about Højbjerg, but for me, he's one that needs to go as well. We need to get in a complete new lot. He's not, I don't think he's good enough for Angie's system anyway. I think he's proved that in the past. Plays well for his country, I'll give him that. He plays excellent for Denmark. But we need to start now from the bottom up with this team. And for me, the way to go is with the youngsters. It's
exciting. And I also think, you know, Postecoglou would be wise, you know, to do it, because I think it'll buy him a little bit of time to maybe the way it bought Pochettino a little bit of time to a degree. And I think it'll work out in his benefit. But look, Kate, look, I'm not going to tell any fans how to support the club. At the end of the day, they can support the club how they want. We all invest enough money, whether it's through merchandise, watching games, going to games, etc. You know, you can support the club the way you want. If you want to get up and you want to dance around singing Spurs are going to win the league, be my guest. If you want to get up and, you know, mope around and say Spurs are shit, be my guest. I'm not going to tell you how to support the club. You're well entitled to it. I just think it's nonsense that, you know, celebrations are being policed after game. It's football. You know, there's enough shit in the world. Why can't you enjoy one thing that goes your way for once? You know, I don't get it. Anyway, Kate, each to their own. I'm not going to sit here and berate people. It's not my style. I just, you know, people can do what they want at the end of the day. Just pisses me off. That's why I turn off socials. Well, after games, you don't see me on social media or do anything whatsoever, because I'm too busy enjoying the win, and I'm not going to let anyone tell me otherwise. Jim, just a guy who loves Spurs, says, Dave, the quad is 100% on, my friend. Tottenham till I die. Look, I really do hope so. If we can get off to a good start of the campaign, you know me, I'm going to get carried away again. So let's wait and see what happens. But I definitely have my eye on one of them domestic trophies, or a good run in Europe. You know, I wouldn't mind getting to Bilbao next summer. It's perfect. Spain, I want to go there on the holidays next year. It sort of lines up, if you know what I mean. It's not quite the Costa del Sol, but, you know, we'll settle for Bilbao. And Darkstone G also says, how does it feel to have 80% of the deadwood gone? Matty, we haven't, I haven't really heard your thoughts on this. I mean, I spent many years with you talking about so many players that I thought needed to go, that they were just stale and needed to be moved on. Are you happy that we've moved a lot of it on? I know we still got some left to go, but it seems like we're making progress, minuscule progress.
I feel like the watch-alongs we used to do back in the day, Dave, with Marcelo, every second word that we said in those was the word deadwood, because there was just so much of it there. And it is great that we've moved the majority of it on. Again, still a lot there. I think maybe the best thing about the deadwood, if you want to call it, if we're referring to any player that needs to leave as deadwood, I think players like Emerson and Højbjerg, and maybe Skip to a lesser extent, the main problem is stylistic, and that they just can't play Angie's football rather than a quality issue. I think, as Jimbo said there, Højbjerg is fantastic for Denmark, and I think Højbjerg can go to an AC Milan or an Atletico Madrid and be very successful there and be an important player in a Champions League team. I think Emerson Royal, he could go to Borussia Dortmund or he could go to AC Milan as well. I think he'll do well there. So it seems as though we've started with the players who purely have quality or attitude issues, especially. And I think terminating Ndombele's contract with a year to spare was a perfect example of how seriously we're taking that. I would also say, though, that I think it's something that could have been done quicker, and love that salary agent. The biggest criticism you could give to Paratici when he was officially in his role, and to a certain degree the setup that's there now, is we're struggling to get money for players. And I think the approach that they've taken in loaning players out year on year in the hope that we can then get some money, it has bore fruit with Troy Parrott, for example. If he didn't have that fantastic year at Excelsior Rotterdam, we never would have got 7 or 8 million for him. And I know some people are disappointed with the 7 or 8 million, but it's a lot more than we would have got 12 months ago. It didn't work out with Ndombele, and we had to terminate that contract. With Celso, it's a combination of the loans and then him actually playing quite well when he got in the team last season that's allowing us to get a bit more for him, whether that's using him as a make weight in the deal for Jacob Ramsey or just a straight up sale. So while it's not been perfect, the progress that's been made has been brilliant. And the key difference now compared to what it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, is in the past when we have got rid of deadweight, we've brought other deadweight in because our recruitment wasn't good and our signings weren't good. We're now, where we're losing an Eric Dyer, we're getting a Mickey van de Ven. Or where we're losing an Ivan Perisic, we're getting a Destiny Udogie. And it's not just getting rid of players for the sake of it, it's getting rid of them and actually improving on them in every way imaginable, in mentality, in quality, in age profile, in absolutely everything. And it's a joy to see. But again, like with everything at the club at the moment, there's a long way to go. There's constant changes in that recruitment department. So I think there is still something to prove there, that they are the right group to go forward. But everything is trending in the right direction. And yeah, it's hard not to be excited by that.
100%. It's hard not to be excited. You're absolutely spot on when you say it's trending in the right direction. You know, and I think the big debate probably is, or where maybe the disgruntlement comes in, is maybe are we doing it quick enough the way we want it, you know? But look, let's wait and see. This season we could prove a lot of people wrong, or else we could prove a lot of people right. I guess that's the excitement of football. It's the unknown. But Dark Sun G, you know me. I mean, them days, I honestly, it was that bad. People used to have to say to me, Dave, go to the doctors and get your blood level checked. You know, it's not right. You know, you shouldn't be that outraged by some of these guys. Now I'm calm. You know, I just enjoy some of the players that I'm watching because I'm watching good footballers, Dark Sun G. So it's been a great change for Dave's health. We also have Iceman, member for 11 months. Only one more month for the big year milestone. Come on, you Spurs, Dave for Chirpy. Absolutely spot on, my man. Look, really appreciate the longevity. Really do. I would say there's quite a few people with nearly 2 or 3 years behind them. So you got a lot of catching up to do in that work, Iceman. But do really appreciate the year. But we'll set another milestone for you after the year and try and get to 2 years. But also, nice jersey that your son got you for your birthday there the other day. It actually fitted really well on you, by the way. So fair play to you on that. And look, everyone knows I'm never going to get to coach or anything at Tottenham Hotspur or be a player. So my dream job is Chirpy. I've been practicing. I'm just waiting for something to happen to Chirpy or maybe for him to get fired. And then I'm straight into that costume. Big up, Iceman. Really appreciate the support, my man. And I'm also losing weight to try and get into it as well. So hopefully it works out. Dark Sun G, we'll hand this one off to you. Jimbo says, remember 3 to 4 years ago, we complained about wanting to see youths. Oh, I'll take this one. I think this is towards me and I'll hand the next one on to you. Because the Deadwoods were really playing terribly. Dyer, Winks, Tanguy, Sanchez, Session, finally, 100%, you know. Matt Doherty, Aurier, let's throw all them on the list. For me, Dark Sun G, I used to pull my hair out, and I was at the point where it's just like, look, if these guys are going to come out there and keep putting in the same level of performances and not show anything different, why not turn to the youth at some point? We're not talking about all over the park. But in certain positions to give a kick up the ass. Don't get me wrong, it's hard for managers because they don't have everything they want. They're trying to put up a good 11 together, and then, you know, outside of that, they've never really trusted the players outside of 11, most managers at Tottenham over the last couple of years. But I would argue if they wanted to be clever, they could have used some of the youth somewhere along the line to maybe create that bit more squad depth when there's been no transfer windows open and stuff like that, and have maybe opted not to. So it is great to see Dark Sun G. And now I'm sitting here talking about Romero, Van der Ven, Sonny. Still talk about Sonny, which is absolutely great. You know, the likes of Papa Matasaro, absolutely love it. Doji, Porro, you know, it's night and day, Dark Sun G. And it's great to finally be in this position, my man. It really is. And I no doubt you're also relieved, right? Because you were also stressed out with it with me on that Dark Sun G. And he also says, I went to Sevilla 2 years ago. I got tickets for the K-League. I thought you told me you didn't make it because you had to work. I can't remember. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong, Dark Sun G. But he's got tickets for the K-League 11, and hopefully you enjoy yourself. What was it, 6-2 last time out? Sonny scored a couple of goals, if I'm correct, in that game. So you might have a great day out available to you, Dark Sun G. You just never know, my man. Really appreciate the support. We'll find out where Matty's gone in a minute. Maybe he's dropped me a text. Maybe his internet's gone. Dark Sun G also says, come on, you Spurs. Gray is a special player. Can play anywhere. Really happy we used Roden for him instead of Gyökeres. Southampton really enjoyed from Gyökeres from Southampton, and he really enjoyed Gray and Bergvall video. Jim, we'll hand this one off to you. I'm just going to crack open the window because I'm starting to, get hot in here. So the Nelly song, it's getting hot in here. So I need to go and open the window. Jimbo, I'll leave this one with you. Take it away, lad.
Yeah, Gray. What is it? Gray's a special player, can play anywhere. Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic. I've been watching his interviews. I don't know if you have Derm on Spurs.
I have.
Yeah, and he go on.
Yeah, look, I look, for me, I was really impressed with Gray. I was absolutely so. He's such a talent, and his brother as well. He's another talent in Leeds. He's a striker. And he's a really good talent. He's slightly older than Archie. But for me, I thought he was brilliant. We can use, I think he'd be there good as an emergency. But for me, Bergvall as well. They looked happy to be there.
Yeah.
Jim, that's the thing. They looked happy to be there. And that's what we want. You and me have watched a lot of Tottenham over the years. We've seen the good times. We've seen the bad times. But we go back to the good times when players wanted to be there.
Well, they wanted to play for the shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, Gray, on one of his interviews, Gray, he said it about 4 times in I think his interview was on there for 8 minutes. And he said it about 4 times that he's so grateful for the opportunity, you know. And he said, I will play wherever the manager wants me to play, you know, and he's hungry. He wants to play for the club. He wants to play for this badge. And that's what we want at Spurs. You know,
and it is as well, Jim, because you look at players that we've had that didn't want to be there. We're just there for the paycheck. Adon Bele, and you got Eric Dyer and players like that. If you lose, that's it. But you want players to hurt. You want players to be upset. And you look at Archie Gray, and you look at Bertha, and you look at the youngsters. If we lose, it will hurt them.
Yeah,
and they're going to want to go out and put it right in the next game. And that's what we've been missing. And his interview, I really enjoyed it, actually. I have to say, it was a great interview. And but as I say, it's so great to see the lads, the look on their faces coming into the changing room when they went out to the pitch and seeing the shirt for the first time. It was like, it was very heartwarming to see, because we haven't seen that for so long. So absolutely brilliant to see.
No, that was. And look, I know you didn't want Alcatraz from Southampton, and neither did I to be Alcaraz. Sorry, not Alcatraz. That's a prison. Neither did I, Dark Sun G. I think that's one you have to swim to as well. It's not even on land. But you're right there, Dark Sun G. I didn't want him either. For me, I'm absolutely delighted bringing in Archie Gray. To be honest, I think this kid could surprise a lot of people this season. I think he's going to get a lot more minutes than maybe people first anticipate. And to get Roden in the swap deal going the other way for another £10 million is a good deal. Now, I know, Spurs were looking for 20 earlier on in the season when Leeds were trying to maybe secure it if they're ahead of their promotion, or they thought they were getting promoted to the Premier League and they didn't really want to pay it. So, Spurs used that to their advantage to get Archie Gray in. And let's not forget, this guy's been highly talented. They speak about him very highly within the England ranks and stuff like that. So, absolutely delighted to get him in, and can't wait to see Gray and Bergvall especially. He really excited me. He looks so graceful. He just looks like a player. The way he moves, the way he manipulates the ball, passes it, his vision, his IQ. Being honest, blonde hair stands out from a mile. He's easily identifiable as well. So you can't miss what he does. Absolutely love it, Dark Sun G. I can't wait to see them today. And Bergvall in my Football Manager season, by the way, is absolutely ripping it up. So hopefully, it correlates with real life, and hopefully he can do the same this season. And last one, Dark Sun G says, I want to see more Lankshear, Hall, Phillips, Donnelly, Devine play against teams like Morecambe or NS Moore, and now that the Deadwood mentioned are finally gone. And this is where I want to get to, Dark Sun G, ultimately, is in these cup games, rather than putting out individuals that we have in years gone by. And it got to the point where I sat there before games, and it's not really like me, where it's like, there's no point in getting hyped up today. We all know we're going to lose today. And it happened. And people before the game like, Dave, just get behind the team. You never know, they might surprise you. Whereas now, if I see something a bit more fresh like this, I'll genuinely go into them games with a bit of excitement, a bit of optimism. And plus, one thing you will see is them work their absolute nuts off. For me, hard work is a bare minimum. Same as Ange Postecoglou. And because they have a point to prove, they're not sitting there with inflated egos. They're not sitting there trying to force a move out. They want to earn their reputation in the professional ranks. So for me, I think it'll be a good idea, Dark Sun G, to fill out some of the squad with these guys and actually really have a look at Ashley Phillips as well as a fourth choice centre back. I don't think that's something we really need to dip into the market for this summer. Ideally, you want someone left footed that could come in and slot in for Van de Ven. But Phillips, for me, physically can handle it. It's just whether he's good enough on the ball. And you're not really going to get that answer until pre-season, really, when teams maybe ramp up their preparations a little bit. It's hard to get that answer against Hearts, but he done what could happen, so what he could do. So hopefully we see more of them today, Dark Sun G, and I think today could be the final day for some of these guys to impress and maybe decide who goes on tour, who's going out on loan. So big game for some of these guys today, Dark Sun G, and I'm super excited to see the freshness, of the squad, which is good to see. Now we just need to add some more signings to that and continue on in the right trajectory. But big up, Dark Sun G. I know you're absolutely pumped, and hopefully you enjoy, and hopefully you get to meet Son in Korea, by the way. I think Spurs are going to do a lot of work for their sponsorships in terms of meeting people. Son also gives a lot of time to his fans. And I know Spurs do some signings, stuff like that over there as well. So hopefully you get to go and meet some of the Spurs players, Dark Sun G. That would be absolutely awesome. Let's move on, though, guys. Let's move on. And I want to have a little bit of a conversation around Jed Spence. And Dermo, we'll start with you on this one. Jed Spence was absolutely outstanding in the second half with contributing a goal and assist, and also acted as a good example for the youngsters compared to maybe someone like Emerson, who came on straight away and gave that goal away. Should Ange Postecoglou reconsider his stance on Jed Spence and give him a second chance over preseason to show that he can bring something to Ange Postecoglou's system? Because some fans on socials have likened him to a Doji in that he brings similar attributes, but on the right-hand side of the pitch. And when I seen that, it sort of got me thinking it is a different alternative to Pedro Porro down that right-hand side, and could be a bit of a game changer off the bench at times, or a good option to start games depending on what's needed. What's your thoughts, Dermo?
I think so. I think Spence has been really badly mistreated. And I think when he was bought, he was used as a pawn between Conte and Levy. And I think Conte and managers sort of, after that, haven't really treated him very well. Ange saw him. Ange sat him down. As Jim said, he must have had a talk to him about his attitude, because his attitude at Nottingham Forest was spot on. And he was a really good player for Forest, and that's why we bought him. I think he's a great backup to have for Porro. I thought he played absolutely exceptional when he came on in the second half against Hearts. He's got the talent. If he gets the attitude right, he could be as good as Destiny, and we need that. And the goal he set up for, I think, was Lankshear, was that ball in outside of the foot. Absolutely brilliant. So for me, Spence has never really had, it's not a second chance, he's never really had a chance to begin with, because he only made 4 appearances for us before he was shipped out on loan. So look, I think he's a player we can use. I think it saves us buying a player for that position as well, because and if he can, show the attitude right, train hard, show Ange that he can do it for him, Ange will support him, Ange will back him all the way, and he can improve him as well. So yeah, for me, Spence, I'm Gyökeres back. And I've always had a soft spot for Spence anyway, because I've always liked him and I've always wanted him to do well. It's a bit of an underdog story. So, look, come on, if he starts today, let's see what he can do. But why not? It saves us buying the play for that position. So we can put our money into other places. So, yeah, for me, Spence all the way.
Return of the Jedi, you know, a Star Wars quote for you, Dermot. I know you absolutely love Star Wars.
Can I just add something as well, Dave? Europa League final is in the same place that Tottenham won the Winners' Cup final back in 1963. It's actually in the same town.
Wow.
In Bilbao. We won there. We beat Atletico Madrid 5-1, the Dyson final. It's actually in the same place. So who knows? History could repeat itself next season.
Maybe a good omen for us. Maybe, you know, Ange
Postecoglou
does like using the history of the club. Maybe he can use that to present to the squad, you know, before the Europe. Actually, I'll email him and tell him me and Ange are best friends and just let him know that maybe he could use that as something for them to strive towards. But Jim, I want to know from you, are Spurs fans getting too carried away? Is Jed Spence only receiving minutes because of the lack of defensive options available to us right now?
Jed Spence come in at a bad time, didn't he? Come in when they bought him. I don't think Conte really wanted him. I don't think he was a Conte buy. And I think he got a bit of a raw end of the deal. You know, he wasn't playing him. Conte wasn't playing him. All the fans, a lot of the fans jumped on the bandwagon about him. You know, he's got a bad attitude and he's got this and he's got that. And I'm with Derm 100%. I don't think he was given a chance. So I think this is his proper chance under Ange. You know, and I think that Ange has probably had a chat with him and told him, you know, he's got to sort himself out. You know, he's a good player or whatever. And I think he'll take it with both hands or feet. I think that he'll do well for us. I really do. If he's given a chance, it looks like Ange is going to give him the chance. Ange spoke about him on his interview, didn't he? Give him a mention that he was really pleased with him. And Derm's right. Why go and spend money on another player when we've got one sitting there? I thought he was phenomenal, Dave. I really did the other day, the second half. You know, he showed what he can do. So I 100% are behind keeping him. 100%.
I guess the argument to that, Jim, would be that, you know, many Spurs fans would say it lacks ambition. He's come in, it hasn't worked out. Why not move him on and get someone else in the door?
Yeah, but why move him on, Dave, if he's good enough to stay? That's why. Why would we do that? Why would we go and spend money on a player for right back when we've got him? You know, it's him and Porro there. It's fantastic. You know, them two. I say keep him. You know, I don't see why we should sell him. You know, if he can prove in pre-season that he's good enough, then keep him. I know we've only seen that 45 minutes, but that 45 minutes was good. So if he can do it in 45 minutes, he can do it in 90 minutes.
No, look, I completely agree with you. I think it was a very good 45 minutes, and I think it's worthy looking at him again today. And then if he can produce to a similar level, then you decide whether you want to bring him on tour or not. Like Dermo, I echo, he didn't really get a first chance. He was brought in, used as a pawn, and my head would turn. You know, you can't deny that there has been problems there, right? You know, he got sent home from his loan spell at Leeds. You can't deny that. It's just about whether he can get his head straight, fix it. And obviously, go and sit down with Ange Postecoglou and say, look, my head was wrecked from the Conte era. I didn't really give it a full opportunity under you the first time round, which I probably should have. I've learned from that. I'm older. I'm wiser. Yeah. I want to try and nail down a spot in the squad this preseason. Are you open to giving me that opportunity to do so? And if that is the case, let's wait and see what happens. But look, I'm usually the first one to say, cut him, get him gone, get the next guy in. But on this occasion, the club have mishandled the guy completely, used as a pawn between Conte and the club. And no matter how hard he trained, there was nothing he could do to get onto the football pitch. So I can understand why he's lost his head to a degree, you know. And if people just looked into his background, last one picked off his local side into an academy, last one out of the academy, you know, to earn his first sort of, professional contract. You sign a 16 schoolboys, is it? I think, you know, your schoolboys contract. Last one to get rewarded with a professional contract out of that. You know, he's had the tough route and he's lost his head because his dream was taken away from him. For me, if he continues, I'd have no problem giving him a second chance, ideally. The club should have 2 right backs here to be able to compete of close to a similar standard. Emerson's clearly out the door, but if Jed Spence can come in and solve a problem, why not use that money for a CDM, world class, a striker, maybe another winger in here that's really actually going to affect the team rather than a backup right back. But Matty, I want to. Jim mentioned the Ange Postecoglou quotes, and I do actually have them here. Just give me one. So I'm going to read them out to you, Matty, and I want you to maybe tell me what do you think Ange means by the last part of the quotes. Ange said on Jed Spence after the game, Jed did well. He's had a tough couple of years. He's training with us, and I think with all of the players that are here with us at the moment, when they are here with us, we'll start again. Jed did well. He's had a tough couple of years. He's training with us. And I think with all of the players, they are here with us at the moment. And when they are here with us, I treat them as Tottenham players unless something suddenly changes. He was good tonight, took his goal well, he contributed well and got an assist. But what do you think Ange Postecoglou means by that phrase, that if they're here with us, I'll treat them like a Tottenham player until something suddenly changes? It's not exactly a ringing endorsement that he's maybe looking at keeping Jed Spence around, I feel.
Yeah, I think Spence is probably. I don't think he's going to be a Tottenham for next season, despite that performance in pre-season. And I think Postecoglou was just being very diplomatic there. And look, it's the right approach to take because, it happened with Eric Dyer last season when, he was still training with us and everything, but he wasn't in the squad for the first few games. And then all of a sudden we had to start him at Molineux because our entire team got injured in that game against Chelsea. So I think it's a safety net, maybe, that while Spence is here, he's going to be training with us. He's going to be playing in pre-season because we've no centre-backs. We have to play Gray, who can play at right-back and centre-back. And Emerson is, as we've already discussed, he's Emerson, which is a big problem. So I struggle to read too much into Spence's performance. He was absolutely fantastic. Don't get me wrong. The assist, as you mentioned, for Lankshear's goal was absolutely perfect. He put it on a plate for Lankshear. He was really good linking up. He knew that inverted role. It seemed he knew the inverted role quite well, which is odd considering he was in Genoa last season. Odd in a good way. But I think those Ange comments are just, while the players are here, they're here. But I fear that Ange made up his mind last summer on Jed Spence and said he didn't want him in the squad. And I don't know that there's been enough done for him to change that opinion. And he's spoken quite a lot about how one bad apple in a dressing room can throw off the entire dynamic of that dressing room. And from what we've heard about Jed Spence in the past, he may end up being that character. Now look, like you said, he's changed. He clearly had a much better season at Genoa last season. He just, from the outside looking in, it seems as though he took everything a lot more seriously. You remember that tweet to Neil Warnock when he got that move to Tottenham. So he seems to have matured. He does seem to be more responsible. But I just think that Postecoglou made up his mind last year that Spence isn't a player he wants around the squad, and maybe it's just not something he'd be willing to reverse.
No, look, and it does seem like that from that quote, so I 100% agree with you, but do you think Postecoglou, maybe for his own benefit, should? Because if he does sell Emerson, right, there's no guarantee the club are going to bring in another right back for him, especially when, we need players in other positions, and that he might end up having to use Archie Gray as a right back and sometimes a CDM. Do you think, and with the amount of games we have to play, it could be 50 plus. We know the amount of injuries we carry. It hasn't just been under Conte, it was the same under Jose, at times and that as well. So we carry a lot of injuries. Do you think it would be put in Postecoglou's favour to maybe actually re-look at it?
Maybe. It depends on how things are going in training. That's like we can look at 45 minutes on the pitch, but we can never know what's going on in training. And I think for me, when in Spence's first season at the club, I was every single week calling for Antonio Conte to give him a chance every single week because what was on the pitch was not good enough, and it was not working. And we had this highly sought after right back sitting on our bench, never getting any minutes, and I could not understand why Conte wasn't putting him out there. But it turns out just in training he wasn't putting the effort in, and the mentality wasn't there. So I think we do need to look at all of what we're seeing with a pinch of salt, because 99% of what Postecoglou will be basing a decision on at this point is happening behind the scenes. But I also think from the balance of the squad perspective, I don't think we'll get rid of Emerson unless we know we're getting somebody in. Okay. And I think that's the beauty of where we're at the moment. We have a number of options in every position, probably with the exception of left back. So it's not like we're going out having to get a second choice. We have a second choice. That second choice isn't good enough, but it's a choice nonetheless, where We're improving on the balance that we have rather than having to add numbers in certain areas of the squad. We have a big squad already. So I think if Emerson is going to go, it will be with the guarantee or maybe even with a deal already done to get in another right back. But even if that didn't happen, we have Archie Gray, who can play there, played 35 plus games at right back for Leeds last season. And it's not his main position, but with the way our right back plays coming into the middle of the park, it's somewhere where I think he will be very comfortable. We have Radu Dragusin, who can play there as well. Again, not his main position, but we do have options for who can play there. And then maybe the question just becomes, because we have the depth in midfield, will we have the depth in centre back? So it's at the moment for me, right back isn't the most pressing issue. We have a plan B and a plan C. So I'm willing to wait until we find the perfect plan A to go for that, instead of just trying to put square pegs in round holes at the moment when we do actually have decent options at our disposal already.
No, look, 100%. I can understand that. I think my only concern is that, you know, you're pulling players from other positions to go out there and fill in. And if we have multiple injuries across that back line, do we have enough players to be able to spread out across? But I do understand what you're saying. Rather than just get someone in here, you know, as a quick sort of fix, you know, maybe the club are holding out for the long-term target, and it'll probably work out better for us. Look, let's wait and see what happens, guys. Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments. Also, just quickly, there's 360 people in-house. It's been jumping up between that and 400. So really appreciate everyone tuning in. Please smash that like button, but most importantly, get out, check across all of these guys' channels. Matty Hayes, Tottenham Blog, THFC Till I Die, and Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, which Jim and Kate own. So make sure you get over and check out them channel, guys. Alaskan Hotspur, I'm going to bring forward the last question just specifically for you, my man, because you come from the greatest place on planet Earth, which is Alaska, and a place I want to go and visit. And he's been a member for 7 months. He says, can Lankshear stay this fall? Jimbo, we're going to start with you. I don't think I've started on with you yet, so we'll start with you. Lankshear, do you think he could end up doing enough to stay around over this preseason?
Yeah, I think we should definitely keep him in the first team. But I think what we need to do is buy a real accomplished number 9, like a Tony, that they can learn from, because they are young, they still learning. So I think we need to buy a really good accomplished number 9, so this guy can learn from him. So for me, I would keep him around for definite.
Yeah, 100%. Look, For me, Jim, I watched a lot of Will Lankshear last season, and there's a lot of hype around the amount of goals he did bag. But I've watched him miss so many goals as well, you know, really good opportunities. And for me, that's what I've always said with Lankshear. From what I've seen of him, especially over the course of last season, you know, there's games I've watched him, you know, miss more than what he scored and stuff. That maybe he might need a loan to develop that sort of what's the right word? Consistency in terms of in front of goals. But you know, we're short on striker, right? Richarlison, although he does a job when he's on, and I like him, I know you like him, he's never available. You know, outside of that, then you're shoehorning Son off the left to play up front. I'd argue you diminish a lot of what Son's good at and the effect he has on the games when you play him up front rather than off the left. And then for me, the only other option is moving Kulu inside. And also, I think people forget, with the likes of the Lees, Lankshear, that they can all, if you keep them around, you can still play them in the under 21s, you know, and keep them up, keep their match sharpness, their match fitness up, and bring them up to the senior team as and when you need. So do you think it's actually reasonable for us to keep Lankshear around? Is there going to be enough game time with maybe some of the options I outlined there? Because I think if Richarlison isn't available, I think he'll always, resort to Son as the next option. And if he's not there, maybe resort to Kulu before he even gives Will Lankshear the opportunity.
I mean, that's a hard one to answer, Dave, because, I mean, is he going to learn more going out on loan, or is he going to learn more, being an understudy to a top number 9? For me, I would like to keep him in the squad and let him learn from a number 9 and put him in certain games. I know you said he missed quite a few last season. He scored, I think it was 32 goals he scored. He still put a good few away. And I think the best way to learn is off of someone who's top notch. That's my opinion. But I mean, I'm sure other people have got different opinions.
Look, Jim, it's just that fine balance, like you said. What's best for for the kids' development. I mean, Dermo, what's your thoughts on someone like Will Lankshear? You know, the question, does he need to go out on loan and maybe develop? Do you think we should maybe keep him around? That there is going to be game time. You've got Europa League. You'd like to think there's going to be some game time there, maybe off the bench in some cup games. Do you think we should keep him around and maybe look to develop him at Tottenham? Because many people have made the argument on socials this week that we had Troy Parrott come through with a similar reputation. We had Dane Scarlett come through with a similar reputation. Soon as we lost them, as soon as we loaned them out, we lost the player.
Yeah, look, I watched a bit of the under-21s with you last season, Dave, and I was impressed with Lankshear. I see similarities between him and Harry Kane. Now, I'm not saying he's the next Harry Kane, but there's a lot of similarities between them. Harry Kane, when he first got in, wasn't this prolific goal scorer. He missed a load of chances as well. And something just clicked with experience and with game time. And he did go out on loan quite a lot, and it helped him. So if Ange feels Lancashire needs to go out on loan, then I think that's the best thing for him to progress his career. But also, I do agree with Jim as well about keeping them and having them as an understudy. It's down to Ange what he wants. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't want an Ivan Toney coming to the club. I wouldn't want them at Tottenham. I've been hearing, I was told this a couple of days ago, and maybe Matt can confirm this, that we've been talking to Jonathan Davis for the last couple of months, unofficially, and that deal could be done quite quickly because of he wants to join Tottenham. So it's all about what's best for Lancashire. What does he want? What's best for his career? And if it means a loan season out, say in the Championship side, or even the Lowe's Premier League side, get him the experience of playing Premier League. Get him I don't know, somebody in the lower parts of Crystal Palace, like Chelsea did with Gallagher. Line them out there, get him Premier League experience. But I do feel, with all the talent he has, and what I've seen him with your watch-alongs, Davis, as well, which was brilliant, which you done brilliantly last season.
Thank you.
He could be our next Harry Kane. And I'm not saying that as...
Oh, I think you're going on mute there on us, Dermo. Dermo? You're on mute, lad. I don't think he hears us. Maybe he's giving out to someone else in the house, maybe. Not quite sure what's going on there. We'll give Dermo a minute. Dermo, 1, 2. Can't hear you. Try log out, log back in. Log out, log back in, Dermo. That might sort it. But just to take on to what Dermo was saying, just quickly till we get his, I don't know whether he's speaking to us or whether he's having a chat with the missus. I'm not quite sure what's going on right now. But when it comes to Harry Kane, I do understand what Dermo is saying in terms of similarities, right? Will Lankshear's not blessed with pace like Harry Kane, but what he does do is he uses his body to great effect inside the box to buy him that yard or two to be able to get the shot off. He makes very intelligent runs. The timing of his runs, it was a constant feature of him and Donnelly in the under-21s last year. Donnelly playing the balls in, and the timing of his runs to get there was absolutely phenomenal. So I do understand that, but of course, I don't want to put that label on Will Lankshear. You're talking about living up to the club's greatest ever goal scorer. I mean, I don't want to put that pressure on a young lad. But Matty, I guess my maybe fear around the Lankshear sort of debate comes that last season we weren't the most prolific. I thought a lot of games we lacked a lot of creativity. Richarlison took a lot of slack for it, so did many others. And I just feel like, is it too early to put Lankshear into that if the same happens again this season? If we don't address them areas in the summer, most of our, hopes are hinging on an 18, 19-year-old kid to come in and hit the ground running and bang in the goals. And if he doesn't, he's going to get swamped up with the thoughts that people already have on the likes of Werner, Johnson, people like that. He might actually ruin his career before he even gets started.
Yeah, I think there's a pathway there for him into the first team, and I think we need to be careful with how we make that happen. If we head into the new season and we decide that Will Lankshear is our main number 9, or even he's the number 2, he's the outright number 2 to Richarlison, I think then we're putting way too much pressure on his shoulders, because, like you said, he's only 19, and I do find it quite jarring that Lankshear he's older than Graham Bergvall. We speak about Graham Bergvall and these players who are going to be in there. It's just the rate at which players develop is obviously different.
But an advantage that I'd say Lankshear would have over the other names you've mentioned, like a Troy Parrott and a Dane Scarlett, is that Lankshear physically looks ready. And it's the same with Mikey Moore. The two of them have really bulked up in the last 6 or so months. And maybe that is with the anticipation of getting into that first team. Maybe they've been told that 6-12 months and they're going to be in that first team with the way they're training now, and Lankshear reportedly being the most on-form centre-forward in training at the moment. You know, maybe things are coming together there. But we're going to have Europa League this season. And look, we want to win the Europa League. So I don't want to say, let's just play the kids in the Europa League. But it's a good opportunity to get them game time. Even if we're playing, you know, if we're 3-0 up against a team with half an hour to go, I don't want it to be like last season where Mikey Moore played 6 minutes against this team and 4 minutes against this team.
Yeah.
Getting Lankshear half an hour in a game like that when we've won, so the pressure isn't on him. It's just go on, enjoy your football, settle in, get used to playing a more physical brand of football against these European sides. Get familiar with your new teammates and a more technical version of the same football that you're playing last year. And that then is where that pathway starts to open up, and that's where his development will start to rapidly rise. And I said it after that goal against Hearts, and I know a lot of people likened the finish to something we've become accustomed to seeing from Harry Kane. And it was I've said it many times before, like you, Dave. I watched the under-21s a lot at work last season, and it's just his body shape as he hits the ball. He narrows his body over the ball, straight leg, just puts his foot through it, finishes into the far bottom corner like Harry Kane always did. It was really odd to see at the time because you're kind of questioning who actually is that.
Yeah.
But that's absolutely huge that he has that. And what really impressed me about that finish the most was he's running not completely towards goal. He's running angled away from goal. The ball's coming from behind him, past his right hand side, and he manages to time it perfectly to sweep it back across him into the bottom corner. And the point I made with that finish was when you're a clinical finisher like that, he didn't look at the goal. He knew exactly where that bottom corner was. That clinical nature, that killer instinct, that works at any level. If you get yourself into those positions, whether you're playing under 8s in your local team or you're playing Real Madrid, in that position, if you know where the bottom corner is, you're going to find the bottom corner. The next step of his development just needs to be learning how to find that space at a higher level, because you're not playing against under 21 centre halves anymore. You're going to be coming up against the best in the world, and learning how to find that space. It's something that Heung-min Son is really, really good at, and that's where you come back to Jimbo's point. Will he learn more out on loan or as an understudy at Tottenham? And I think Lankshear learning in training from Son and from Richarlison, who we can't forget has 50, 100 Premier League goals, learning from them how to transition his game to be playing against better players is going to be absolutely huge for him. And I really, really do think that's the final link that Lankshear needs to put into place to become a number 9 for a Premier League team. And I think by the end of this season, we're going to see a lot more of him in the first team, and he's going to start scoring some goals.
100%, you're absolutely spot on. Look, it's a big difference doing it against under 21s and, you know, Hearts, and then coming up against the likes of Virgil van Dijk and people like that. It's a huge difference. So you're absolutely spot on. And that's the biggest thing. Like you said, if he can find that space, the guy's going to flourish. But, you know, if anyone listens to ex-professionals or even people in and around the game nowadays, you know, the physicality of some of the players in the Premier League, it's not as easy. You know, and if you listen to defenders, I was only listening to one the other day, and they were asking, you know, who's the hardest striker played against? And anytime anyone's asked these questions, actually it was Andrew Amabamadeli, the Irish guy, you know, playing for Nottingham Forest, and he said Harry Kane by far is the hardest he played up against. You just don't realise how big, physical and strong the guy is until you're actually up against him, which speaks to why Harry Kane is able to hold players off with one hand and finish with his other foot. It's absolutely unbelievable. But Will Lankshear's on the right trajectory. You look at the size of him compared to Parrott and Scarlett, completely different at that age. So let's wait and see. But me personally, until we can start sorting out the right low moves for these guys, I want us to develop them in-house, because it's been proven that when we send players out on loan, they never quite come back and get that opportunity to break in the first team, because 9 times out of 10, let's be brutally honest, they go down to a lower league and they get injured for half the season. They never return as the same player. Troy Parrott picked up an injury very, very young. Dane Scarlett, and they never really returned the same player after that. But guys, anything else you want to add on Will Lankshear before we move on? I've got 2 more talking points for you guys.
I just can I say, Dave, that if he goes out on loan to a lower team, he's not going to learn like he's going to learn at Tottenham. You know, Matt is 100% right. He needs to learn, you know, the Premiership way, and moving to a lower club is not going to do that for him. You know, I read a report this morning that Postecoglou is really pleased with him in training. He's really impressed with him. So I say keep him.
Well, look, let's wait and see. You know, if he gets the opportunity to lead the line, and hopefully gets more than the 10, 15 minutes that he got the last day. You know, if he can lead that line for a considerable amount of time today, maybe that's an indication that Postecoglou is going to have a look at the guy. So maybe that's one thing we can look out for this afternoon. Big up Alaskan Hotspur, though. Really appreciate kicking off that talking point. Dark Song G says, like Jed, I want to see Reguilón. Then we don't need any backups at fullbacks. Look, I'll put out a video. We'll go around the panel just quickly. I'll put out a video there the other day, maybe making the case again to give Reguilón another opportunity at the left side. You know, when you look at the current option we have, Ben Davies, Reguilón's better than Ben Davies, especially going forward. And I think Reguilón is more suited to Ange Ball than what he is Ben Davies. And it was interesting to hear Reguilón's comments after he was shipped out on loan that he had a conversation with Postecoglou. He was told he was in the squad, and then all of a sudden something changed. And I went and done a bit of research, and for me, it came down to box ticking exercises, not enough foreign spots to spread out. We ended up keeping Session, who's never been fit. What's the point when he's never going to play? And Ben Davies, okay, some people make he's a decent squad player, but he's nowhere near the level of what we need compared to Destiny Udogie. It's a complete drop-off. So why wouldn't we look at someone like Reguilón? You know, okay, he's got 1 year left in his contract. The club might want to recoup a fee. But in terms of what's best on the pitch, why not give him an opportunity for the first few months and see what happens and maybe revisit the situation in January? That's just my thoughts. I'm trying to make sure we get players in positions that we need to address the first team rather than squander money on players that are not going to come in and displace Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie from the first 11. Just my thoughts. Shoot me down if you don't agree with them. I don't care. But we'll go around the panel quickly on this one. Matty?
I'll keep it short and sweet. I think Postecoglou's decision to loan out Sergio Reguilón to Brentford the second he came back from Man United last season tells you everything you need to know. Whether it's, again, something behind the scenes or just purely that Reguilón doesn't fit into the system that Postecoglou wants, I don't think there's a Reggie remontada coming. I think his time with the club is over.
Mm-hmm. And the fact him and Gil haven't been seen yet either, right? You know, it sort of maybe alludes that the Spanish takeover, you know, the paella, you know, it's gone. No more paella for us. We'll have to go back to, the shitty McDonald's. Jimbo, quickly, Reguilón?
Yeah, no, I think move him on, Dave. I'll be short and sharp as well. I think move him on. And I think move Davis on as well and bring someone new in better.
Well, look, I would love that, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Look, he is an incredible guy off the pitch. He does a lot of media duties. Look at the Spurs socials. Is there any coincidence he's always on videos? Because no one else wants to do them, but he steps up and does them. So he's a player's dream in that regard. Yeah. And then he also does a lot of liaison for the club in terms of off the field work, charity, going and meeting with people. So he's a club stream. So I've accepted he ain't going anywhere at this moment in time until at least his contract runs down. And Dermo, lastly, on Sergio Reguilón.
Firstly, can you hear me? Because my mic just
loud and clear. You're back.
Morning,
we didn't know whether you just cut us short and decided to go and talk to the missus or not. My
mic's. But I don't think got anything I said about Lankshear either. My mic suddenly I couldn't hear you. Apparently, got an Emmy nomination from Ribsy for my performance, so I'm going to take that. No, just sell him, get him gone. I think him and I agree with everything Matty said. So. Matty's spot on his business assessment, so I'll go with that.
Fair. Dark Song G, I think it's me and you against the rest, me and you against the world at this moment in time when it comes to Reguilón, lad. Angelo Tyros says, Davey getting on the jungle juice. I mean, I didn't realise water was considered jungle juice, but if that's what we call it nowadays, I'm on the jungle juice, Angelo. No problem, my man. And then we are down to Paul Connor, good to see you, Paul. Hopefully your boss gives you time off to watch the game today. That would be epic. And he says, I want to see the youth getting chances against lower teams in the leagues. The likes of Ipswich comes to mind. Your thoughts on if we see this? We'll kick off with you again there, Matty, and work our way around the panel on Paul. What's your thoughts? Look, it's very easy, I would say, Matty, to say they're the right games to play them in, but we did struggle in some of them games last year.
Yeah, I think the Premier League has become a lot more competitive from top to bottom in the last couple of years than maybe it has been in recent history. You see a lot more upsets, if we can even still call them that at this point. Wolves did the double over us last season, and they were looking over their shoulders the entire time. So I'm the same. I would love to see it happen, but if it's realistic, I'm not too sure. Maybe it could just be a similar way to what I said about the Europa League, that if we're at home to an Ipswich or a Forest or whoever, and we're comfortable, bring them on and get some proper game time. I just don't know with the competitive nature of the Premier League and the pressure that's on us now to get back into the Champions League and really perform in the Postecoglou second season, as people have been speaking about. I think that's a lot of pressure to put on their shoulders, but in a game where we're comfortable, absolutely get them on. And not just against, if we have some crazy first half and we're 3-0 up against Manchester City, even bring them on then. It's not just the lower teams you have to play, but I think as much as I want to see them, let's not put too much pressure on their shoulders from minute one.
No, 100%. And look, for me, it's very easy to say, let's put them out there. But we struggled in these games last year. They play low block. We even struggled to break them down. Now, I do like the likes of Mikey Moore, how direct he is. Maybe he might help you in the game. So, Jim, maybe Paul Means, giving them meaningful minutes, even off the bench. They don't even have to start. Maybe it's off the bench, half an hour here and there against these sort of sides.
Yeah, it's what Matt said, spot on. But you've also got the other end of it as well. Is if we're struggling in games, which we have done, and I've always said to Kate, there's never a banker in the Premiership. The bottom team can beat the top team. We've seen it. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of rich people out there gambling, wouldn't there? So I think even if we're struggling in games, change it around, bring some of the youngsters in. A bit more hunger, bit more lively. So yeah, I am 100%. With these youngsters, bringing them into the team and giving them chances. So I'm with Paul.
Love that. Big up, Paul. And Dermo, we'll get you, and then I'm going to scrap the last two talking points. We're going to give our quick thoughts on the lineup, and then I'm going to let you guys all go and get prepared for the game. But Dermo, do you agree with Paul and Jimbo here, or do you maybe sit more on Matty's side of this argument with the youngsters getting games against teams against like Premier League, lower in the Premier League?
I think they need to. I agree with both points, but I'm more leaning on Matty's side just a little bit more, because I think you get more experience by playing the lower league teams in the Premier League, and you get Premier League experience then. And I think they're good enough to play against these sides as well, and also use them in competitions, Europe as well. So for me, I think it is use them as much as you can. And if, like Matty said, if we are winning 6 or 7-0. Then 5-0, say, or 4-0, bring them on, get experience. It's all about experience for them. So, yeah, I agree with both points, but I lean slightly to Matty. But Jim does make some very good points as well, by the way. So I sort of agree with both.
Cheers, you're going to have to get splinters for Dermo there. But no, I do understand what you mean. There is good merit to both points there, to be fair, Dermo. Big up Paul Connor. Really appreciate the support, brother. Absolute top man. What a legend. But guys, we're going to bring these lineups out. We're going to get the guys' quick thoughts. And then, like I said, I'm going to let these guys go and get prepared for the game. Brandon Austin returns in goal after that incredible save against Hearts on Wednesday night. Pedro Porro retains his place at right back like we expected. Gray and Skip again form the centre-back partnership. How does Ashley Phillips feel? Probably not too happy with Donnelly coming again back in at left back. We get the return of Papa Matassar, a.k.a. Starboy, into the midfield, which I'm buzzing about, alongside Basuma. And interestingly enough, Lucas Bergvall has come into this first 11 for this game, and it looks like ahead of James Maddison. So I'm very interested to see how he gets on with these sort of players in the team. Can he link up for them? And then Johnson, of course, again, out on the right-hand side. Werner comes in from the start on the left-hand side ahead of Solomon, and Son back up front. Jim, we'll start with you, my man. Give us your quick thoughts on the lineup, and then where can people find you?
Austin, I've been screaming for him for a while now to be integrated into the first team as the backup. I really like him. I think he's a good keeper. I watch a lot of the training, and he trains hard, does well. Yeah, I like the lineup. It's good. It's interesting to see Skippy in there, Dave. I think we might be getting a few hints here, him starting both games, that he might be staying. So nice to see Donnelly in. It's great to see Sarr. Basuma, that's our reserve on him. Bergville, Johnson, Son, Werner. Yeah, I'm not a Werner hater, so I think he can do well for us next season. You know what I think of Werner. I don't think he's the best, but I like him. He's fights hard, gets some good crosses in. So yeah, I'm pleased with the team. Yeah.
And just
Good
quickly,
mixture.
just before we find out where people can find you, I just want to name the subs bench. I know people out there like the bench, and I didn't name that. We've got Whiteman, Luca Gunter, Jed Spence, Emerson Royale, Ashley Phillips, Abbott, Robson, Hall, Kulizeski, Devine, who had a very good game the last down, has gone underrated and no one's speaking about it, which has annoyed me a little, along with James Madison, Mikey Moore, Will Lankshear, Solomon, Scarlett, and Valise. So again, it looks like about 13 or 14 substitutions there yet again. But guys, make sure you please get over and check out Jim's channel here with his wife, Kate. They do have an auction tomorrow for Mickey Hazard's charity. They're running an auction and a live stream for that. I think it's a 12-hour. I don't want to put words in the mouth. Maybe it's not. I think it's a 12-hour. But Jim, why do they need to get over there tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a 12-hour. Starts at 10:30. It's a 12-hour charity stream. We've got lots and lots and lots to auction, and I'll probably buy a couple and we do the spinning wheel. Something like that. I'll make sure it's good. Yeah, and it's you keep saying our channel. No, I'm the understudy. She's the boss.
I'm trying to be inclusive, Jim. Trying to be inclusive. I didn't want to say Kate and make you feel isolated, but if she wears the trousers, she wears the trousers.
I just do as I'm told, Dave. Come on when she lets me.
I understand. It's easier that way. Trust me, it's easier that way. But guys, please get over, check out Kate's channel. Just a girl who loves Spurs. Big charity stream going on over there for Mickey Hazard's charity. Lots of great stuff being auctioned off for it. Mickey Hazard will be on himself as well.
Yes.
So make sure you get across and check that out for Jim and Kate. They're doing I would say doing the Lord's work, actually. The Lord's work, So make sure you get over there and check them out. Jimbo, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thanks for having me on, Dave.
Sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
No, I love it. I absolutely loved it. We'll get you back on again for some of these, over the course of the season for sure. I think you make a great guest, my man. And then, Matty, again, we'll get your thoughts here on the lineup, and then we'll let you plug your channel or whatever you want to plug, really. You're everywhere these days. But your thoughts here on the lineup.
Yeah, I'm delighted. I said yesterday the one thing I wanted to see was Gray and Bergvall on the pitch together. It would have been better if we got to see them in midfield together, just to see what that dynamic could be like. But no, it's great to see both of them in the starting 11. Absolutely over the moon to see Paps there back in that starting 11. He's just such a joy to watch. He glides when he's in possession. It's hard not to fall in love with how he plays football. It's not great to see such a makeshift defence in pre-season. I'd like to see a Phillips or a Darrington in there just to get maybe a bit more of an indication of how that defence could be playing this season. But seeing Ange trust Gray and trust Donnelly out of position, I think speaks a lot to how he rates them and maybe how involved they'll be in the first team this season. And Son is on a football pitch. Everybody loves when Son is on a football pitch, so let's enjoy that as well.
Oh, for sure. Plenty to look forward to. I'm really interested to see how Gray and Bergvall get on in this sort of environment together, along with Pappy Star. I absolutely love that kid. But Matty, I mean, where are you going to be this week? Where can people find more of you?
Like you said, in a lot of places. If you like Tottenham content, I'll be on Last Word on Spurs. If you like general football content, the Transfermarkt English page, I'll be there. Or if you want to follow me on Twitter /X @MattHayes_THFC. I talk about football everywhere, so it just depends on what type of football you want to hear about.
But guys, do check out the Transfermarkt content, actually. It's actually very good. It's not all just Tottenham-based. There are other stuff going on there with other clubs and that, but it's very, very good. So please check it out. Again, he does brilliant work on Last Word on Spurs. And look, rightly so. All started with Matty's great channel himself that he put a lot of work into, and he's getting the rewards and the fruits of the labour from it now. But I reckon if we get enough new subscribers over there, you might just get him to return on his own channel at some point. You never know. So, guys, please get over there and check out Matty's own channel as well. He didn't even give that a plug. I came out a month ago with a Romero video, and I was like, oh, I'm gearing myself up for the worst, and thank God it hasn't happened yet. But, guys, please get over there and check out Matty Hayes' channel and subscribe, and we'll put the pressure on to get him back on it himself. And last but not least, Dermot, you hear every single pre-match build-up, which I really, really appreciate, my man. It's, it's a lot of time to be given up. What's your thoughts on the lineup, and where can people find you?
Look, it's the same sort of back four. Look, look, it's a good team. Great to see Sarr back. I'm really excited to see what Bergville can do actually in that cam role. Johnson, for me, I hope he puts in another good performance like he did against Hearts. Werner didn't have the greatest game against Hearts, but I think he'll get back into it. As the guys say, Sonny, Donnelly's great to see him in there, but Archie Gray and Bergville. I am so chuffed to see the pair of them back in the team again. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, and you can also find myself, Tequila, Column, and the legend, that's Mr. Philip Brady, on THFC till I die. So yeah, we're looking to get to 2K, so you can help us get there. And we've also got a new channel starting, European Football Network till I die, which covers everything bar Tottenham. So yeah, so we're going to be a busy season over in my little neck of the woods. But yeah, please hit like and subscribe. I do it on all channels as well, on Kate's, on Matty's, and definitely on Dave's. Dave is the reason why I started. I think it's the reason why we all started on YouTube in one way or the other. He is the godfather to all our channels. So, do you know what I mean? So a great hit like on his channel, but yeah, please like and subscribe.
Get over and check out the Bratislavan Hotspur, aka Dermo. You know, Europe wide next season. Get over and check it out. Up there with daily transfer news shows every single day. So make sure you get over there and check out Dermot's channel, guys. But guys, that's it. I have to go and get prepared for the watch long. We will be back here at 2:30. Jack is back today. So no F-ups in terms of technology and stuff like that. So it should be running nice and smoothly for you guys today. Hopefully, I know there's going to be plenty of great watch-alongs around. So hopefully you guys can find time to pop in and enjoy the game with us. I want to say a massive thank you to Jimbo. Really appreciate it, my man. We'll get you back on some of these again. Matty, the guy who gave me my first massive opportunity in terms of the YouTube. And, you know, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for this guy. And he knows how much he's changed my life in terms of that, you know, giving me maybe a purpose, you know, and stuff like that. So really appreciate that, guys. So really, really great to have Matty back on here. It's absolutely fantastic. And then also Dermo joining us as well, giving up his time every single week for these shows. So everybody, big up Dermo in the comments for that. And then I want to say a massive thank you to over 400 of you who decided to tune in and embrace this great club with us today. Thank you very much. And then lastly, a massive thank you to people who've gone the extra mile. Mr. Chia, Moondog, Mr. Shire, Dark Sun G, Kate, Jimbo, Iceman. Who else have we got here? We've got Alaskan Hotspur and also Paul Connor as well. Really appreciate all of you guys. Thank you very, very much. You're all absolute legends for that. And then I think there's one that maybe I missed doing Dark Sun G some disservice here. I'll take it quickly. It says, love seeing Sarah and Bergvall playing together and Gray at centre back. Dark Sun G, I think it gets many of us excited today. You know, you looked at Bergvall, look what he brought to the team, that directness, you know, that bit of je ne sais quoi that I've been calling out for all last season, you know, and hopefully he can produce that in this midfield today. It's something that I've argued I wanted to see Maddison do all last season, grab the game by the scruff of the neck, dictate the game for us going forward, the avenues that we attack, a bit like what Luka Modric used to do to a degree, a bit like what Christian Eriksen carried on the mantle done for Tottenham to a large degree. And I don't think he's reached that levels, and hopefully, and maybe that's why Bergvall is getting the opportunity in the midfield today. I can't wait to see how he gets on with Sarr and Gray. Imagine that as a midfield in 3 or 4 years' time, you know, taking us to trophies. That is absolute. Oh, it gets me so excited. But guys, before I, you know, get too excited and pass out, I need to go and get ready for the watch long. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the mighty hands we trust. We never stop. And by the way, compliment me on my new topic, sexy.
Lovely, Tom.